Hello, 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 and welcome. You are inside of Stress Talk Live. This is where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. We're talking about EAPs today, Employee Assistance Programs, and we're going to do that in just one moment. Hi there. I am Marcyline Bailey, your host for Stress Talk Live. I'm so glad that you joined me today. We are talking about employee assistance programs, and I'm going to give you the rundown on what they are and how you can benefit the most from them. First of all, before we get started, I do have to apologize for my raspiness. I was in an area that had extremely high grass pollen over last weekend, and I haven't recovered from that. So I'm going to apologize up front. I may cough a little bit. I may get choked up like now, but I do have my tea with me and I have some throat lozenges. So for the next 30 minutes, I hope you'll be able to understand me. And if I have to take a moment to sip some tea, please excuse me. As always, I want to remind you to like, follow, and subscribe to ML Bailey Consultants. You can do it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn under Marcyline Bailey. Also, here's the tap link. Now, not only will you find information about the newsletter that comes out on Wednesdays, the Wednesdays after the stream, you will also find a link that will take you to the Ultimate Stress Busting Guide. Take a look at that link. I think you might find something that will help you to keep your stress levels low, and that will help you to develop a personalized plan for yourself. So go to the tap link. It has a lot of resources for you. Also, here's my website. Go there and you can learn a little bit more about me. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about, and I have my notes over here. So, if I'm looking over there, that's why, because my notes are over here. I have a few things over here too, but for the most part, I'm going to be looking over here. We're going to be talking about how to get the best benefit from your employee assistance program. Employee assistance programs. I am a provider for several EAP organizations. And I want to just explain what they are, what you can expect, what you get from them, as well as how you can get the best benefit. And I thought it might be a good idea to do it during during Stress Talk time, because when you see your employee assistance, when you see I'm sorry, when you see a therapist, a mental health therapist through EAP, the EAP program does not require a diagnosis as would your insurance company. And so if you're experiencing things like stress, you're just stressed out, work has you stressed, you're nervous, you're a little anxious about your job, or you're just going through some things at home, you don't have to have a diagnosis to get this benefit. And so I wanted to explain this and share this information because a lot of people don't know that their company may or their employer may offer this. So let's jump right into it, okay? So we're talking about how to get the best benefit from your employee assistance program. So, first of all, what is an employee assistance program? Okay, first of all, let's start there. Well, what is it? Um, an employee assistance program, or EAP, is a benefit that you get that an employer offers. It's a confidential service and it's voluntary. It's not something that you have to utilize, but it's something that is available to you. And most major employers will offer it. For example, the school system that I work for offers this benefit. The state in which I live in offers this benefit to their employees, to state employees. Um, the There is a I'm sorry, I'm blanking. That's because I'm thinking about my throat. Um, but most companies offer EAP benefit services. Basically, your EAP assists with any personal or work related problems that might impact your job performance, your health, as well as your well being. It is a benefit that helps employees stay healthy. Whatever the concern that you're carrying, the load that you're carrying, your EAP is there to help you. Now, what does the EAP do? For the most part, they provide support by providing resources, counseling, referrals, and any other follow up services that you might need. So let's talk about specifically what the EAP offers. You can get mental health care, limited mental health care for yourself and for family members. That's important. That's very important because the EAP programs not only help the employee specifically, the EAP will also provide services to their spouse, to their children, immediate family. So the EAPs often offer mental health services, financial or legal resources, maybe some limited legal resources. Um, they'll offer services for dependent child care, elder care. Also, they provide crisis intervention. If there's an incident on your job, at your workplace, that is traumatic in nature, your EAP will send trained, licensed therapists to the workplace to help you get through that crisis. So EAP is not just mental health. It encompasses a gamut of things. Not only that, EAPs, employee assistance programs, will also provide support for managers and administrators in how to work with staff or deal with staff issues in a way that maintains um, an atmosphere or an environment that's conducive to producing good work and good outcomes. So, EAP, employee assistance programs, do a lot, okay? They offer a great deal to the employee. And again, this is part of the benefit package that you might have, that your employer might offer to you. So let's talk about mental health specifically, because that, of course, is my wheelhouse. That's what I do. In terms of mental health, Your EAP will provide assessment and referral. When someone comes to me, I often explain to them that when they're coming to me, they're not coming for long term treatment or ongoing treatment. My role as an EAP provider is to assess the concern and refer them if they need additional support in long term. I can also offer brief or short term counseling. Now, when we talk about brief therapy, we know that brief therapy, a person, when they receive brief therapy or short term therapy, they will start feeling better after one session. And so, with the number of sessions that you might have allotted to you, the idea is with brief or short term therapy that when you see me or see a therapist, you can, that your concern can be ameliorated. Is that the right word? It can be lessened in a very short time to maybe 1, 2, 3 sessions at the most. Anything over that, there's an expectation that you are referred on to someone who can see you on a longer term basis. Now, I've mentioned that EAP will provide services to you, to your family members, including your spouse and your children. Therapy is included in that as well. Mental health is included in that as well. So if you have a child who is having some concerns at school, you can get EAP services for mental health for them. But again, it's just assessment and refer, or it's brief or short-term therapy that they're going to receive. So in addition to assessment, referral, brief short-term therapy, family or relationship concerns, we also provide counseling for grief and loss, as well as for life transitions. Now, you can't get that necessarily through therapy. Like if you're going to see a therapist and that therapist is going to bill your insurance, the therapist has to give you a diagnosis. Through your EAP, however, on a short-term basis, we don't have to give you a diagnosis, but we can help you work through any major life transitions that you might experience. A moving from one city to another can be traumatic for some. Losing someone that you care about, someone that you love, grief, we can work with you through that on a short-term basis. Your children moving out of the home, and you're an empty nester, we can work with you on a short-term basis. So these are the things that the services, mental health, financial, legal, dependent care for assistance for your children or for your elders, crisis intervention, work performance. All of these things are services that are provided through your EAP or your Employee Assistance Program. So, what can you expect? Okay, what was provided, and then what can you expect when you need or when you want to pursue services through an EAP? So, for the most part, you can find information. Your employer will post where to call if you have a concern. Let's focus on mental health, because again, that's what I do, so I can speak to that. Um, so they post where you can find the number to call your employee assistance program. It might be in the break room, it might be in the lunchroom, wherever they have those legal notices, then they probably post the number and the information about your employee assistance program. You can also contact your human resources department, and they can also give you information regarding whether the organization or the company offers EAP to their employees and how to access that, how to call. But the first thing you do, if you want to access those services and your company offers EAP, you're going to call the number. You're going to call the number that you're given. That number is going to connect you with a contracting organization that will ask you some questions. They're going to ask you who you are, what the concern is, and do you have any specifics that you'd like to share. They're not going to go into a long, drawn-out assessment. They just want to know the basics. My name is Marcy Bailey, and I'm just stressed out at work. I'd like to talk to somebody. They're probably going to ask you if you want to see someone in person or whether you want to see someone via telehealth. Telehealth can be video, audio, video. It can just be audio, meaning by phone, or it can be text. I don't do text and I don't do phone. I do audio, video. So I have a video platform that I use specifically that is HIPAA compliant, that I use specifically to see clients. So they're going to ask you those types of questions, and then they'll give you a number. They'll give you an authorization number. That authorization number will be given to the therapist who they're going to refer you to, letting that therapist know that they are authorized to see you through that EAP program. Okay? So you call the contracting organization, then they will give you an authorization number, and they will also provide that authorization information to the therapist that you're going to see. In addition to giving you an authorization number, they're also going to tell you how many sessions you are authorized to have. Right now, most EAPs, depending on the situation, will provide 3 to 4 sessions. Some, depending on this concern, will offer up to 6. There are other EAP programs that will offer 12. The ones that offer 12 are for individuals who they know are in high stress situations, high stress jobs. So you're going to get an authorization number, you're going to get the number of sessions that you have, and you're going to get the number to the therapist who you're going to call. Now, that therapist has gone through a credentialing process, meaning that therapist has been vetted by the EAP organization. Now, EAP organizations are often outside of your employer. It's someone that the employer is contracting with, okay? So, but the therapist has been vetted by that EAP organization, meaning that The EAP has all of the documents showing that the therapist is licensed in the state that you're in, that the therapist has the credentials to provide the service, that the therapist, where the therapist's office is, the therapist's hours, the all of this. We go through a credentialing process. We also, the EAP also has contract with us to provide services within a certain amount of time. For example, excuse me for having to wipe my nose. I'm sorry, a little dab. There's I have one EAP organization that that requires that I provide sessions, and I provide an offer of a session within 3 business days of the person calling me. Now, sometimes that's a juggle. Scheduling can be a juggle, but it's done that way so that the person who is requesting the service does not have to wait, and that they're getting the attention that they need immediately. So that's the other benefit. That is a benefit, that the EAPs hold therapists to a certain standard, and we have to provide an offer of an appointment within a certain period of time. So you have your number, you've called the therapist. What happens next? You call the therapist, and the therapist then has to get additional information. They're going to want to know what prompted you to call your EAP. That's usually my first question. What prompted you to call your EAP? What's going on? What's happening in your life that made you call today? Then we're going to ask you to complete our paperwork. We need permission, releases of information, to let your EAP company know that you came to see us. We also will share our privacy notices, our practice notices, our HIPAA information, and then we're going to want to get some basic information about you so that we know what we're dealing with, right? It's not so different than a doctor's office. We need to know what to expect ourselves. So we're going to ask you to complete that information. I usually get the information completed before the session so that I have an opportunity to review it so that I'm prepared for your session. I also ask individuals who are coming to see me to complete some specific assessments for me. So again, I'll have some idea of what's going on in your life, what's going on with you from a mental health standpoint. So we're going to ask you to complete the paperwork, and then we're going to schedule an appointment for you, right? You have your appointment. The thing about EAP services is that it is confidential, meaning that the only thing that a provider reports to the company is that you came. You actually came to your scheduled appointment. Your appointment was scheduled on a certain day, and you showed up on that day. Or an appointment was scheduled on a certain day, and you did not show up on that day. That's all we report. We also may report the general reason that you came, although they have that. They know that it's stress, or they know that it's grief or loss, but they may ask us for that information. But basically, that's all we'll be asked for: the date that you came, or that you didn't came. You had an appointment and you didn't show up. The other thing that you need to know in terms of confidentiality is that many EAP programs do not allow their providers to release information of any kind to anyone. So we cannot release information to your employer to tell them that you came to the appointment. That's a violation. We can't release information to your probation officer. That's a violation of our agreement. We cannot release any information about what we talked about in the session. Of course, there are certain things that we have to. For example, if you say that you are a danger to yourself or to others, then we are obligated by law to take certain actions related to that and to share that information with the appropriate people. However, in general, we cannot just release information. I have had been in situations where individuals came to me for EAP through EAP, and they wanted to get information. They wanted information related so that they could use it in other settings. And I had to explain to them, no, my contract with the EAP company says I cannot release any information to anyone for any reason. Boom. And that ends that. So you need to know, excuse me, that if you're in some type of legal situation and you've been told to see a therapist, your EAP is probably not the best place to go for that, because your provider will not be able to release any information to you or on your behalf because of the agreement with the EAP company. So, how do you get the best benefit from your EAP? That's how we started this conversation. I was going to share how to get the best benefit. Well, I think it's pretty simple. First, you need to know whether your employer offers EAP. Do they offer EAP, employee assistance programs, to their employees? I'm always amazed when someone calls me and they say, I didn't even know my company had this. I didn't know anything about this. It's very important for you to know, even if you're not going to use it right now, call your HR, call your human resources department and ask, hey, do we have an EAP program? Do we have an employee assistance program? And how do I access that if I need it? Get that information up front. That is one of the best ways to get the best benefit, by knowing, having the information. Remember, G.I. Joe used to say, now that you know, knowing is half the battle. So that's very important to know whether your company offers EAP support to their employees. The other thing to get the best benefit is to know what the EAP benefit covers. Does it cover legal services? Does it cover mental health? Usually they do cover mental health, but some of these other things that I mentioned are not necessarily covered. I have known some EAP organizations programs to offer moving services, relocation services, dog walking services, connection with the laundry or the cleaners when you move. They go into anything around your life that would cause you stress, and they want to alleviate that. Now, not all of them do that, but I do know some that do offer that. So you want to make sure you know what your EAP benefit covers. Again, get the information up front, even before you need it or before you think you will need it, just so you have it at hand and you can call whenever the need arises. Then finally, you can get the best benefit by knowing how to access it. Do they have the number and the information posted in the break room next to all the legal notices? Or do you need to call your human resources department to get the information? All of that is important to know. You can always get that information. It's not a secret, at least it should not be a secret to anyone, because it's a benefit that the company provides to you. So, we've just talked about how to get the best benefit from the Employee Assistance Program. And I answered several questions. What is an Employee Assistance Program? What is provided through that Employee Assistance Program? What to expect? And then finally, how to get the best benefit from the Employee Assistance Program that your company provides. Well, that's it for now. Whew, I made it. I'm going to drink some more tea. I may get a throat lozenge. Excuse me. I thought I was going to get through without coffee. I didn't, but I'm glad you came. I'm glad you listened. I hope this information was helpful to you. I look forward to seeing you next week right here on Stress Talk Live. That's all for now. Take good care. Let's hit the right